Hello guys, my name is Gordo. Welcome to another episode of Generation Shock. Today's episode we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories, collectibles, and whatever happens in between. My name is Gordo. Nice to meet you guys.
Nelson, aka McNutty.
What's up, guys? I'm the monster on the mic, Shek Monster.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Messiah.
Welcome. So today's episode we're going to lead off with some conspiracy theories. Do you believe in them? Do you think they're real? What is your conspiracy, and is the Earth flat or not? Let's start with that. What do you guys think?
You want to start off with you want to start off
Just
with
wants to jump right in it. Just go for it.
Why
Just
is
go
the
for it.
world
Fuck it.
shaped? Let's do it.
All right, Nelson. What happened, Nelson? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just putting on airplane mode because I don't want to do.
Oh yeah. Make sure everybody's on airplane mode. All right, so so let's go. Okay, so who wants to start it off with the conspiracy theory with the flat Earth thing?
Well, can I ask something? Because I'll be honest,
Yeah.
since the 1600s, I haven't heard that conspiracy. So, could somebody just clue me in on what's going on with it? Because I'm confused.
All right, so what's happening is this big movement that people actually believe and think that the world is flat. It's a flat Earth. That's why it's called a flat Earth theory. But I'm surprised you haven't heard of it, because even some of the NBA players were saying it too themselves. I mean, they believe that shit. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And you've been watching ESPN all your life, right? And they have said it on ESPN, and I'm like,
I've
what?
never heard that.
Yeah,
man.
bro, I'm telling
Never.
you. So there's a guy out there. I forgot his name. He started the movement, and they were talking about that the world is flat. And then people have several discussions, and one of the biggest arguments is, oh, how do you know that the school? You only know what you learned in school, and you've been brainwashed. They want you to learn. They want you to know what they want you, and this is a form of control. Yeah, they just brainwash it since you were a kid.
What?
And it's just a form of control. They're like, have you ever seen a picture of the Earth round, or have you been to outer space? I'm like, no, man. There's only a few people that qualifies to go out to leave Earth. I mean, I could be like, yo, let me just fly to the moon and prove it. No, you have to qualify to go up there.
I'm confused though. Wouldn't you fall off the edge? If something's flat, isn't there a finite point? Or just like,
Trust me, bro.
How does it just keep on
I've had
going
the
on
same-
forever? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know.
I mean, you have to talk. See, none of us, in the show of hands, how many believe the world is flat? How many believe? So that's why, right? I'm the same way. So think about that. Like I was thinking maybe we should have had somebody here that actually think the world's flat so they can argue it. Because all four of us would be like, no, we're like, no, that it's not. But
So
you have to have a discussion. Try it at your job. Try it at your job and be like, all right, who believe the world's flat, and then how deep that rabbit hole. You remember Benny, right? You remember Benny?
Yeah, Crazy Benny. Yeah.
He was one of those people
So
that
here's
thought
the
the
thing.
world was flat.
Here's the thing.
Benny.
I guess you could kind of say you could be right. They could be right and wrong, right? If you look at technicality, we're standing on a flat Earth. Like the surfaces that we're on when we're on them are flat. So I can understand that concept. But when you take it as a whole, it's a round object. Like, I don't get that part. Like, I get where I'm standing on a flat ground, a flat surface, sure, but I'm not falling off the edge of shit. Like, the reason people thought that back in the day is because they couldn't travel, right? They couldn't travel all the way through
of
to
course.
the ends of the earth to find out what was there. Now,
Well, Christopher Columbus was one of the guys who discovered that there's something on the other side of that. When you're in the ocean, it looks flat.
you can go around. Listen, people have traveled around the earth. How do you go around a flat object?
I mean, they just say it's a form of control, bro. I'm telling you. I think it's ridiculous. If you
this-
ever have the argument with somebody about it, or a discussion with somebody, you should see how deep that rabbit hole goes, bro.
Listen,
they
let's just
I gotta
retire,
find somebody
get
who
a
thinks
boat,
that.
and just go and see.
Yeah, fuck it.
There's also people that believe
And
that Australia doesn't exist. Some people believe that
The what?
Australia is a made-up country.
Really?
My
I've been there,
nieces are
bro.
half Australian.
I can tell you, I've been there, bro. I've been there.
They've
to
been
Australia.
there. My
It does
family's
exist.
been there.
Yeah,
The toilets
Yeah.
flush the other way, though. That is a proof. That's like an actual thing. You know that. That's not a theory.
The
The toilets
I don't
flush the
think
other
I've-
way.
I don't think I went when I went there. I flushed the toilet just to try to see if it did.
Why? That's like the first thing I would do.
No, not me. I wanted to taste the food, bro.
No, I go straight to the toilet and flush that bitch.
Y otra cosa. Yes, I wanted to taste the food.
Damn. Okay. So let's leave the flat Earth there because that's a long.
So I got a conspiracy then, because it kind of ties into what you said about the moon, right? So because I didn't know what conspiracy I wanted to talk about, and then it popped in my head when you guys were discussing it. There's a theory out there that the moon landing is fake because we can never as humans leave the Earth's atmosphere because of the cosmic rays would destroy our body, and it was all done inside of a studio. And the whole moon trip, and that's why we never went back to the moon after those couple times. And people, we never go to the moon now because it's impossible for humans right now to leave the atmosphere of the Earth. When the things are like the space station is still technically in Earth's orbit, and that's why it doesn't go away. If you leave that orbit, you're going to get hit by the cosmic rays, and as human beings, will die. It will destroy us.
No, well, remember the moon orbits around Earth, so
That's
you're
different.
still not leaving. Yeah, but you're
we're-
still not leaving that area.
No, that's not true. In order for us to reach the moon, you have to leave Earth's orbit in order to get there. The moon is, because of the size and the density of the moon, it's caught in our orbit. But the
that's what I'm
spaceship's not big enough. You have to leave Earth's orbit in order to reach the moon. And so the conspiracy is we were never there. It was all Hollywood stunts. And there's videos and stuff I've seen online about how the shadows are fake, how it looked like there was dust kicking up, but there's no wind. So how could there's a lot of different theories out there. So I'm curious if you guys had heard any of them and what you think.
I
You
have
know-
heard of it. I seen the video with the guy when he landed. That first step when the dust came up, I was like, "Come on! If there's no wind, how is there dust? How is there some kind of wind fluctuation there when there's no wind in space? If it's just space and just whatever gases there is, how is there wind? To me, it didn't make sense. It's like if I'm not there, it didn't happen." So.
But what I've noticed, one thing that a lot of these conspiracy theories have in common is people that never actually, an astronaut would not say that, would not create that conspiracy, because they've been there, right? They've been in those situations. They've been outside of Earth, right? And they won't say, "Oh, the world is flat." They won't, right? Because So one of the things is always somebody that doesn't.
Yeah, we are.
It's not in that field, right? It's not somebody that's in that field. Is always created a conspiracy. Or creating that, right? Just like the 9/11 conspiracy.
I get it, and we're gonna get to that next. But the whole thing about conspiracies is this:
Nelson was ready to bite. Look at him.
I know, and I'll let him in a second. I just want to say one thing about it. Who do you know that's involved in a conspiracy that's going to say it? That's what makes a conspiracy, is that the people that are in the inner circle aren't going to talk about it. So if you're the astronaut that was the one pretending to be on the moon and your entire life and career was based on that accolade, why are you going to turn around and be like, "Nah, man, it was all fake"?
Bro, but I understand that, but
So-
we're in a information age where people they want their 15 minutes of fame. They want their it would have been leaked already, or it would have been something that would be like,
How many of those
somebody
people
would have
are
put out there?
How many of those people, number one, are still alive, right? And those people were born and were bred with a different cut of cloth. They're not the people that are born today. They had honor and different things that they had to live by. It was a different time back then.
Or
Okay,
a check and an NDA could have did it.
yeah. Well, because I know you were going to get into the other topic. This is where the difference between the theory that I brought up and the theory I think that Lewis wants to go talk about with the 9/11 thing, right? And I'm waiting to hear your guys' opinion. Now we're talking about two different demographics of age groups, right? That's a whole different type of trying to keep something under wraps, because you are in that age of people trying to get famous and everything, versus back then where they had a different cut of cloth. So,
Well, what about the aliens, right? On Roswell, right?
oh my God, I'm watching something on Netflix about that right
There you
now.
go.
The Mucho
Yeah, so
Files.
what
are
about that?
oh.
And then all of a sudden, with this coronavirus thing, right? The what was it? The Navy or somebody? They actually seen a UFO for real, and they put it out there. right?
They've been
There was
discredited
an
by
actual
enough people.
UFO.
They get discredited. There's people who have came out.
And it's all being brushed under.
Correct.
It's all being brushed under because the COVID-19 and all these news, the presidency and all this is happening, but it's out there.
Dude, the alien thing is so. That's one I could go on because listen, I'm telling you, technology all of a sudden in the 40s when this whole Roswell thing hit, all of a sudden our technology changed, and we were more advanced in 50 years from the time Roswell came, from 50 years later, than for the past thousands of years in our existence, and we just suddenly found that out, or was it given to us, or did we reverse engineer it? Oh man, I could get into this topic. You don't even want to start this.
I'm telling you, bro. We went from Moses building the ark to look at the ships we got now.
Dude, it went from 0 to 100. We've had more technology. My dad was born in 1939. Okay, he has seen more changes in his lifetime than any human being on Earth. Literally went from listening to the radio as a child because they didn't have TVs in their homes, right? To the cell phones and the computers and what we're doing on the internet. Like this stuff is. I think about that, right? Somebody 80 years old. The things they've seen in their life are uncomprehendable. No other generation will live through that the way that he has.
Yeah, that's why I say I can't wait till I'm like, yeah, exactly. And that's why I say, by the way, like and subscribe or add the comments also. If you guys want to chime in, bro, don't be afraid to chime in. Just
I'm answering questions too. If you got something, I respond.
But that's why I'm saying I can't wait till I'm 80 because. Like the shit that if growing
that's only
up,
a couple
right,
more years, right? You're almost there.
that's like growing up in the 80s, reading and watching all these sci-fi movies and seeing it now come close to life right now. I could imagine
Lewis,
40 more years from now.
I think my dad told me that you were a freshman when he was a senior or something, right? Wasn't it something like that in high school?
Yeah, he was. I was a jock. He was part of the nerd group.
Okay, take shots at Papa Shaq.
Okay.
No shots, Papa Shaq. No shots.
That's wild. That's wild.
Lewis
one of the other
like
biggest
he's done in the 80s.
Yeah, hell yeah. Look at not the 80s, bro. The 70s. I'm still rocking air like that 70s. Well, so. The other conspiracy would be, and it's a big one, and this can get
controversial.
Y'all being from up north, up from New York.
That's a hot topic.
Yeah, it can get controversial, but it's also
So let's hear you, Nelson.
That's a sensitive topic.
Let's go, McNutty. I haven't heard you yet.
So let's hear you, bro.
Okay. All right. So obviously,
first explain what you've heard, right? Explain to the viewers what they've heard, or which some already know, and then. Yeah. Explain what you think, right? So like that they can know what know how you feel.
So obviously, on the September 11, 2001, may all the lives passed. Rest in peace. Obviously, two airplanes crashed into the towers, and probably a little bit over 3,000 people died that day. So, anyways, they're saying obviously the airplanes caused that destruction after hours and hours of burning. To those towers, you had the north and south towers. So, my theory is and also the conspiracy theories were, it was also a demolition job where there was bombs planted into the towers. The way it started collapsing down just perfectly, evenly, because in the way they structured it, and I'm just referring to an article because it has more detail on it. So. The melting point of steel is 1,510 degrees Celsius. The temperature at which the jet fuels were burning was between 450 to 815 degrees Celsius. So the heat alone was not enough to obviously burn that down because the burning jet could not melt the steel at that temperature. And then if you look from the videos and stuff like that, it says many point out that. As the tower's coming down, you saw puffs of smoke coming out from each tower.
Like little explosions, like demolition explosions. Yep. I remember looking into that.
That's just...
Like you said,
that
real quick,
right there,
you're right, because I did read something, because I check out some of those sites too. The other part of that was, it's not... All those points are absolutely right. But the other thing was is the way that it fell seemed like a controlled demolition. And that it went straight down rather than anything else happening to it. Like, and if the steel melts, wouldn't it kind of fold over? The way that it collapsed in on itself was a controlled. It looked like a controlled demolition. Yep. So just to add a little bit to what you're already saying, and add a little bit more fuel to that fire, no pun intended.
So
yeah. So now the South Tower started to kind of do the same thing. Just as when the North Tower was falling, it actually broke into the South Tower, which kind of didn't make it look as clean as
coming
the other
down.
one. Yeah, on there.
But here's my thing with that, right? Because I always question, I question everything, right? So, who's to benefit from it, right? Why and who's to benefit from it, right?
So
exactly.
I'll give you that right now.
Why?
I'll give you that right now.
I know his eyes. He's like, holy shit,
yeah.
what?
I already got that.
Nobody knows who benefits, but the reason why to go out and war.
Yep. So
I got my takes, but you guys go first because I got some stuff.
There's money in
That's
war,
one, right?
That's the first thing,
of course.
And if you notice, and there's plenty of articles, many people, quote unquote, who might have known about the attack, made millions of dollars off of the stock market betting against it, against those airlines. It made millions of dollars. So obviously the rich get rich, bro. Like it is what it is.
So,
it's not like go ahead.
One quick disclaimer to all the viewers out there: this is just our opinion. None of this is, and some of the things that we have read, is proven facts. It's just our opinion, and we just like to talk about it. None of it is concrete as far as what we're saying. This is stuff we read, so no, I don't want anybody holding us be like, no, but no. It's just again our opinion, and we just having a conversation about it. But continue.
Don't falling on the edge of the earth, okay? It's just a conversation.
No.
I like that one.
So if you, what I've read was obviously in the days preceding the attacks, an extraordinary amount. So that means not, maybe 1,000, probably in the hundreds of thousands, amount of put options, which are investments that pay off only when a stock drops in price, were placed on the stocks of two airlines, American and United, which happened to be the airlines hijacked during 9/11. So that was something from that aspect about it. The other thing was, so I don't know if you guys know, but our actual United States government has an aerospace defense command center. So they call it NORAD, so North American Aerospace Defense Command, which they're specifically utilize. They're ordered fighter jets to stand down. They're ordered fighter jets to shoot airplanes out of the sky, pretty much like stop attacks. And they were told to stand down. They were told to stand down during these events.
Yeah. Part of the conspiracy is some of the people in the government were also called.
Let me ask you this, Nelson, because I know you obviously did some research on the stuff that I remember researching in the past or watching. I'm curious if you ever heard of these other two theories, and I don't know. Once again, these aren't things I necessarily believe, but these are theories I heard. Number one, supposedly there was a gold deposit underneath those, and they used that as a front to be able to smuggle out and take the gold. Number one, and then number two, and then number two, the other thing I heard was it was a ploy along with Bush in order to keep himself in power for a second term because he knew he was on his way out, and the only way that he could allow himself to be able to get a second term, which was to be able to be at war, because he knew that would kind of ensure him staying in power, because he had agendas. He had agendas that his father wanted him to finish in the Gulf War back in the day. That with Iraq and all that stuff, that it allowed him the opportunity to kind of finish what his dad started by these things happening. I'm just curious if you heard any of those.
Well, not the first one. The second one, I definitely think that.
I've heard the first one.
Yeah, I definitely think that was just it was a platform for him to go ahead and declare war, because obviously if they launched the NORAD to attack those things, obviously, I mean, there still would have been casualties, don't get me wrong, it just would have been as catastrophic as it was. But I just think that it was just a form for him to declare war on Iraq and Afghanistan, to make that war. Because obviously, hey, like, now we got to go after them and go ahead and start war. And obviously, my cousin Brian, shout out to Brian, he's a brigade sergeant major now in the military, but he's been on a few tours to Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's not a joke out there. So for me personally, and obviously I was little when all this happened. As me growing up, it kind of just sticks to home, because I'm like, what if my cousin went to war for
talking about
our own.
Talking about generations, since this is Generation Shock. The one thing I would like to add then was, I remember where I was on 9/11. Right, I was a freshman in college, and I was a freshman in college, just had graduated, so it was right. Think about it. It was not, I just entered my freshman year of college. I went to a small school in North Carolina, and I remember being in class, and I had football practice later that day. I was in class. It was like 9-something in the morning. Just got out of my first class of the day, and I went back and I was walking through one of the student lounges, and it's flashed on the news, and everybody's like, "Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what happened?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And I remember the feeling when I walked into my dorm room, and the hallway, everybody had their door open, and everybody was watching the same thing. And everybody was just standing around in awe. And I remember having to go out to the football field that day, and I remember the coach making a speech that the terrorists who did this are trying to make us change our life and the way that we live. And he's like, we're not going to let them win. We're going to go out here today, and we're going to do our thing. We're going to practice. We're going to prepare for the game coming up, but we're not going to let them win by shutting down and not doing the things in our lives that we need to do.
And that brings me back to, like, all the repercussions, right? This is like, think about all the other attacks that happen, right? Like the Boston Marathon. I mean, there's countless ones, and I'm like, okay, is this just a retaliation because we took something that possibly we did and blaming it on another country?
Well,
for it.
So look at this. Like, this is for war. Yeah, well, look at war, right? So we went over there into the Middle East, and we started to fight a war, and it was all petroleum and all because of our stupid shit, right? And that's all, again, theories or why the reasons for the war over there.
I need oil to go up.
Think about yeah, it does. But think about this. To us, we're fighting a war over there because we don't want to come over there. But now look at it from their perspective, right? We have people invading us. We have to defend ourselves. So then the aftermath of that is what happened after.
Yes, but here's the problem.
The mass shootings, the all the other shit that happened in this country.
So here's the problem, though, right? The biggest issues that have happened, the biggest villains, right, in our recent time that we can think of, were created by the United States government, right? Yep. You had Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein first, right, from Iraq. During the Gulf War, we put him in power because we thought we could control him, and then we lost the control of him, and ended up being one of our worst villains. Osama bin Laden was funded.
But he wasn't attacking the U.S.
I know, but not then. But he was involved with those things. Osama bin Laden was funded by the U.S. government. He was a partner with the U.S. government until he turned on us. Correct.
To take over the Saddam Hussein regime.
We put our interests in because that was Afghanistan. But we put our interests and things into these people, and then we want to act shocked when they turn around and say, well, now I'm going to use those interests against you. Because they were just playing us the whole time, and we're too naive as a country and government to see it. So, we only have ourselves to blame to a certain degree for some of the shit. But when we're talking about 9/11, the one thing, Nelson, I haven't heard you bring up that I'm waiting to hear you guys talk about was the Pentagon. Because that was one of the
Oh, I know,
biggest
that's next.
conspiracies. Okay, good. Because that was one
You
of the
talking about
biggest.
all the cameras? You talking about all the cameras?
The-
in
the-
the
the-
ready for
no,
that
the
one.
like how that happened, the plane, it looked like that was one of the biggest conspiracy points, even more than the towers, is how the hell did that
Yeah.
happen? There was people who supposedly weren't there for, like, I'm not going to get into it. I'll let you guys
I'm
talk
ready.
about it. But I just wanted to transition because that was huge.
The cameras must have lagged. They must have had a lag in a government building.
No, it's like
So
looking-
anyways,
The most secure area in this
Yep.
country. One of the
Supposed
most
to be,
secure
right?
areas. Yeah.
so
Wasn't there also a plane that crashed that same day on the Pentagon?
oh no
itself?
no that was the Pentagon, and then there was another one that
Yeah.
crashed in Pennsylvania.
in PA, yeah, in PA. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brought
I-
down by people, supposedly. Yeah.
I am ready.
Go ahead.
I am ready for that one.
Go ahead,
Okay,
go ahead.
so with the Pentagon attack, right? So obviously the plane that crashed was a Boeing 757, right? So for the viewers that don't know, that is typically 120 to 25 feet wide and anywhere from 150 to 155 feet long. But the crash into the Pentagon left an entry hole just 16 feet across and an exit hole of just 12 feet wide. So how is that possible, first off? But a lot of people were saying that a lot of the debris of the plane was inside the Pentagon and not outside, but they still didn't find the motor. I mean,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
does that go?
Yeah.
Where does that go?
It disintegrated. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it just it
It fell off the earth. It fell off the earth. That's what happened.
The Pentagon's
But
on the
here's
edge.
another
The
thing-
Pentagon's right on the edge of the earth. Yeah.
But here's the
Yeah.
here's another thing though, right? Here's another thing, because I remember during that time, I remember watching. I was in Chicago, right? I was doing a tour over there, and it was
shout out to Jeff.
I was at the hotel, right? I was at the hotel.
doing my tour. I just
And
toured for a little bit. It's okay.
I was watching.
No big
I was
deal.
watching like it was the middle of the night. Yeah, it was the middle of the night. I was watching conspiracy. It was a conspiracy theory about 9/11, and one of the things they pointed out, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy." Because again, conspiracy theories put you to think. They're like, "Shit, what the fuck?" One of the things they say is it takes an expert to turn and fly the airplane in. Even people that are experts cannot turn that airplane into the Pentagon the way it did, and for just a few people that just learned this like over a couple of months of training, and the way it turned and the way description, right, how it turned, the angle it came in, and for it to get in, and all that. It says not even experts could do it on an airplane that big.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people that have been flying it for a long time. So I remember I was like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy. Like they point out certain things that, again, I'm not a highly educated man. I can't break that shit down by elements and all that. But some of the shit they say, I'm like, holy fucking shit.
And it's
Fucking
crazy because when I'm reading these articles, right, they're like offsetting it with facts, right? But how do we know as the American people that they're truly facts, right? Because they're just people
Yeah, absolutely right.
they're just people on the scene, right? So they were just saying that when that actually happened, they were saying that most of the people that were there, the first responders said like most of the debris was inside the building. They found the Flight 77's black box recorder. A large section of the Pentagon outer wall was collapsed. They saw, unfortunately, some body parts scattered around the crash sites, some crew uniforms and passenger clothing.
Yeah, but the thing that's crazy is the cameras.
Yeah.
That's one of the heaviest surveil building.
Yeah, it's one of
And
the most
none
secure.
of the cameras caught the airplane coming in. None.
But it's also one of the major areas in our nation that is a no-fly zone. How the hell do you even get close? Like
Exactly.
you can't, it's not even like
And-
the
and
Twin
that
Towers.
and that goes back to NORAD.
Exactly. It's
That
like I
goes
could
back to
understand. Like
NORAD.
I could theoretically believe the Twin Towers, right? New York people fly over New York. Like I flew by New York, right?
Yeah.
You don't fly the Pentagon. You're not flying by the Pentagon. That shit ain't happening.
I don't know, not even
You can't
close.
even
Not
get a
close.
drone in there, bro.
They're all tracked. Every airplane was tracked. You can obviously all the
Trajectory,
air flight
yeah.
security is tracked, and that goes back to, dude. We have one of the greatest militaries in the world, United States Air Force, and you're telling me they couldn't get the protocol is for fighter jets
Yeah,
to
but you gotta
knock those
understand.
down.
How far is the base, the Air Force base,
Bro,
to where it is?
You know how? Okay, and let me get to the answer.
still-
here,
but
because
I'm
I'm
just
still,
saying,
I got-
like that's how I'll challenge. This is
I get
how I
it.
usually
I get it.
challenge conspiracy theories.
Regardless
like,
of that,
okay, so how far is
but they're not
is
just.
the,
You gotta understand, they're not just tracking the airspace directly above the building, right? There has to be. There's a trajectory, unless they
course.
just somehow made an amazing turn. No, but there's a trajectory
Yeah, but
that's
I
leading them
think-
towards the Pentagon. There has to be. You can't just
But I
show up
think-
out of the thin
Yeah,
air.
I know, but I think there's also politics that gets played in it. Like, yo, what if it's not overtaken? What if it's just
So
a
what?
commercial
So
flight
listen,
with people
no,
in it
no.
and we
So
take
what?
that shit
No.
down?
So what
The
they're not
backlash
supposed to
they're
do?
gonna
You're not
get.
supposed to shoot it down. What the proper way of handling it is when you see that they're even 20 miles away and they have a trajectory towards the Pentagon, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You're supposed to
They're supposed
deploy
to-
the planes.
Yep.
They fly on the sides. They radio them and they say, "Listen, you're about to fly into restricted air zone." They prevent you from getting there before you get to the air zone. If you do not turn around, we will shoot you down. No response, you're shot down. There's no letting you get
Yeah.
there. That's the Pentagon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, so
Yeah, I just
an
think, like,
F-35, okay, a fighter
Yeah.
jet. All right. Meanwhile, these planes are flying 300 to 400 miles per hour.
The regular plane.
All right, a top speed.
Okay.
Yeah, a top speed
Yeah,
for a
a
fighter
commercial
jet
plane.
is 1,200 miles per hour.
Jesus Christ.
I can cover. What? Let's just say it goes 400, right? I can cover 800 miles per hour, and bro, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. 1,200 miles per
I
hour,
just,
by
you
the way,
know,
a fighter jet, an F-35.
It's just-
It
Now,
doesn't make sense.
to me, the suspicion part is the cameras, right? There was nothing on surveillance. The cameras were down. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's for me. Yeah.
a multi-trillion dollar, right? Trillion. I'm sure that's $1 trillion Pentagon, because with the reinforced walls and all the technology they have.
Yeah, but it's also
Nothing.
where isn't it where the national defense is at too? Where we have all
Yeah.
those people in there.
Yeah. So, and on top of that, I'm sure they have air defenses there that they can deploy to go shoot it
I'm just
out.
surprised. I'm just surprised they don't have ground to air missiles on top of the
Well,
buildings.
apparently they don't have. Apparently they didn't have. Apparently they didn't have internet.
I want to see rockets take off, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
They didn't have internet.
Like, just take them off.
Now
Fuck that.
going back,
And
going back
a
to
drone gets
pew,
close.
pew, pew,
Yo,
pew.
a drone gets close. right off the air. That's what I want to see. But
you're
here's-
you're $1,400 out if you fly that drone over there.
So here's another thing, right? How about all these conspiracy theories that about the Boston bombing, the shootout in Orlando, all these places that people say that they're seeing the same person. Like if you social media is designed to fucking fool people, right? So that they say, oh, look at this person. Oh, he's an actor here. Oh, that's the same person that was at the Boston bombing. And look, they're the same people. Or this is the same person. And they interview these people, or they show this person carrying a person. Because I've seen that, the one from the one in the Pulse, right? The one here in Orlando, they show a guy carrying a guy, right? And then they show you a video of that guy doing an interview, right? About the same thing, but then they show him doing a different interview in Boston or another catastrophe that happened.
I never heard
or
that.
another and you'll be like, yeah, but you'll see it.
I
It's out
believe you.
there.
I
You'll
just
see
said
it.
I
And I'm
never
like,
heard it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm just like, for me, I'm like, first of all, I know we had some people at our job that were affected, that were there at the Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, how do you tell that person that was fake? So
can't.
that's why I don't believe the conspiracy theory shit, right? I'm like, how do you tell that person it wasn't fake when that person's telling you this is what
Well,
I
no,
went through,
so
it happened,
I don't
and all
think-
that.
I don't think-
they can't
I
all
will
be
tell
in
you
it.
this. Oh,
What
go
I
ahead,
was just-
Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm not telling you tell that.
No,
I'm
no,
not
what I'm
telling you
saying
tell
is
that
this.
person
I-
that is fake. I'm
but
just telling you,
when-
you're reading the
But
article.
then the
that's saying
article's
it's fake.
giving
Like, no, that's
misinformation
bullshit.
because this is what I would take from it, right? And this is just my opinion, just from what you said. Not that
Yeah.
what happened was fake, but that it was premeditated by maybe a different source
Yeah.
than what's being
was
reported.
planned.
Let me
No.
finish. Meaning, we're reporting
Yes.
that it's these
Okay.
people from certain groups, right? Where maybe
Yes.
there's a conspiracy, just like we've heard before with other things like JFK and stuff, where maybe it's a government doing it, and these people that this person is part of it, but they're focusing the blame on somebody else for the act, but he's there controlling it in the background.
Yes, but the article said that there weren't real bullets. And there weren't real victims.
But the article, remember,
that's what I'm saying.
The articles have
I know,
fake
but
news
that's the
too.
part that you're like, I understand your point, but the article pointing out that how do they never let anybody inside, and this
it doesn't
that
matter.
Type of
There's
shit.
no way you can't
on,
fake the footage from the Boston bombing where people are
what's going on right now.
That mayhem.
What's
you can't
going on
fake
right
that.
now with what's going on in New York right now with COVID-19? That they're saying that the bodies, but you don't know if those bodies are real.
That's different.
Yeah, but that's
the aftermath.
But that's what they say.
The aftermath
I
of the
you.
bombing, you can't fake that. Like that.
Yeah.
We're in this day of social media. There were people filming shit on their phones. Mm-hmm. Same thing in Orlando. There was personal footage that you watched of people getting shot. I saw the personal videos from individuals who were there. You can't fake that. That's not. When social media comes out, there's certain things you can't fake.
You're saying that. But there's people out there pointing out that a lot of that shit is fake, and they show you other clips. Once I find out, I'll send it to you.
Then send it to me because
when that post happened, they were saying that shit.
Listen.
I'm like, bullshit, because I live here in Orlando, right? I live in this area, so that's BS.
Yeah.
Listen, I would
But
say
that's
this.
again, they were saying that was all just like the shootings that happened in schools and all that. They were saying that that was fake. The children weren't even there and all that bullshit.
I would say this: when people, if people were to plan attacks, right, especially smart ones, they think it thoroughly, right? So think about all the movies we watch too, like how they get somebody inside a company or whatever, and they work their way up and they make a name for themselves, or maybe they're the janitor, and that person's visualizing everything, and then they plan an attack around that. Like, bro, this man walked into the club with an AR-15, bro. Let me tell you about when I go to the club.
You're gonna see that.
These dudes' hands is all over me. The metal detector is all over me, and making sure I'm not bringing nothing in. Right? They touch, and my wallet's like this thick. Right? I have a small wallet, and they're literally touching it. Like, what's that? It's my wallet, and I pull it out, and they're like, all right, you're good. That had to be, and may they rest in peace, anybody that were affected and that passed away. But that had to be something like, all right, man, you're good. Go in. There's no other
a lack of security at that moment.
There's no explanation to that, bro. Like, I'm literally like, and I can wear my nicest clothes and I'm still getting checked. And it doesn't matter.
The only thing I could say against that is this: there's two things that do happen. Number one, there's two ways that I can see that getting by and that it being plausible. Not saying it happened, but it being plausible. Number one, somebody on the inside. Right? They don't know you're going to do the deed. They don't know you're going to do the deed, but somebody on the inside who's like, yo, man, I got you. Just come through the side. Right? Or number two, listen, man, money talks. You got enough money to flash around. Like, they don't give a fuck what you're doing. Okay? You can get things in and do certain things. Now, I get it for you and me and, the rest of us, we don't like that. So it's hard for us to sometimes understand that. Yeah. But if you know the right person or you got the right amount of money, man, you getting into places and it don't matter what you bring on you. Fuck, man, Plexico Burris got into a club in New York. City and shot himself in the fucking leg. How do you get into a club in New York City with a gun? Oh, because you Plexico and ruined my damn season.
Yep. Yeah,
Fucking
because
Sorry.
what it is,
Let's hold
especially
on.
when you're that caliber of a person, or you have that much publicity and stuff like that, bro. They don't even check you, bro.
But you just need connections.
They want you there so that people can come into the club.
And this guy might not have been wanted, but he might have had the right connections to get his ass in there. And the other thing is this: there could be more shit deeper, right? We don't know for sure he walked in with it. What if he had that shit planted in an area in the bathroom, up in the rafter or something? It was like there's certain things you just don't know.
No, because according to the news, he walked in with it. And he said,
But listen, how is he going to get through there then? That like you said, that's a lack of security. They're going to say that, but we don't know for sure, right? The whole point of a conspiracy is you don't know everything. The news is going to tell you something, but we don't know. That shit could have been planted a month ahead of time. You don't know everything. So it's hard.
The news would say it was a weapon drop. The drone dropped it for him as a care package.
Oh, like the $500 put on the grill that you sent me today. Shit is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's just like Go ahead.
It's crazy because we don't know if it was like you said, lack of security. It was just an inside job, or it was just pre-planned. Pre-planned and say, hey, we got to take this amount of people out. We're gonna do X amount. Or this is my thing. What if that was done in order for something else to happen elsewhere to take the attention away from that thing? For example, let's say they did that and they did something else. Let's say in the other
robbed the bank. Well, even in the city,
let's
say they robbed a bank. They did, like, you're right, because the whole entire Orlando area is going to be focused on this, and it might not be across the country. It could just be across town. We don't know of something that could have happened because there was no focus on it. There was nobody left to respond. That's a great point that we don't think about sometimes. Which was like the gold thing,
You're gonna send
but that's like the gold thing in New
You're gonna
York,
send that one-
right? The whole point of the towers coming down supposedly was because it took all the attention on the towers that they were able to get away with this gold. Now granted, that's just a wild theory, but it's very similar.
It wasn't. It was the world's gold. It wasn't just like the United States gold. Every country had a deposit,
and that's the point.
Well, let me tell you something. It didn't deposit in my account.
Well, you ain't got no gold, motherfucker, other than the right on your neck.
I don't.
Yeah, okay.
Look at that, bro. Look at that. Bang, bang. Yeah. So like that, and what's another one, right? Like,
hold on. Let me.
I got
finish.
one more.
Let me
I
go
got
back
one more
to
we
what
can throw
Gordo
out there.
said. With Gordo with Pennsylvania, right? When that flight got down, right? So they were saying that
about flight 95 or 93?
93. They just said that one crashed into the ground, right? Conspiracy theorists were saying that it got shot down. That it got shot down by a Dassault Falcon 20 private jet operated by a North Carolina company.
I didn't hear about that. I just heard it
should have happened.
I heard there was something else that happened
against
to
the Pentagon.
Yeah, it was something else that happened to it.
Yeah, it said the Falcon 20
because that one was supposed to be was going to the White House.
So they asked for that. Yeah, they asked for that specific jet to investigate the area shortly after 93 crashed. It said, and it did so, descending from 4,000 feet to 1,500, where it spotted a large hole in the ground and a large amount of smoke after it landed, right? But then people were saying, how did debris end up in the Indian Lake, right? The Indian Lake is about 2 miles from the crash point.
Damn.
Well, remember, if something's coming down, you have,
If
it crashes. If it crashes, things are gonna
but 2 miles?
That's
Listen, this
I
was
don't
a
know about
flight.
2 miles.
This is a flight that
I
communication
don't know about
got
2
out.
miles, but
people made
moving.
But people made phone calls.
It's like skipping rocks.
If people made phone calls, though, it's very plausible that somebody intercepted the calls being made from the flight and were able to intercept it, but they don't want to admit to the public that they went ahead and stopped it. That's one of the most plausible things.
Why wouldn't you want to admit that though? It was going to the. I would have been able.
So whoa, hold on.
President was on danger. We took that shit down.
Okay, so you want to admit because you can never guarantee where it was going. So you're going to admit to the American people that you killed Americans.
That flight changed pattern also.
That's what they said in order to justify it being crashed. But you're not going to admit that you killed Americans on American soil. You'll never admit to that. Never admit to it.
No.
You
If
can't.
it's going towards the White House, I would like, I'm sorry.
But you're in Pennsylvania.
Hit that button.
You're in Pennsylvania. No, because you're in Pennsylvania.
You're not the president.
You're not close enough.
Exactly.
Now, if you're in Virginia, if you're in it's different if you're close to the White House. You're right. You could get away with it. We're talking about you can't guarantee where that flight's going to go when it's in Pennsylvania. You can't. And you're going to tell those families.
But you can say, hey, 2 of them hit the towers. It went down. 1 of them went to the Pentagon, and this one was also out of his flight plan, heading towards, projected to head towards the White House.
It doesn't matter. You can't tell families that the American people killed Americans in Pennsylvania because we thought they may go to the White House, but we don't know. It could have turned. It could have stopped. We don't know anything.
And on top
so
of that,
they made up a story of American people taking the plane down?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that.
Because that's a better answer than shooting it down.
And apparently people were making phone calls, and I'm like, well, I have Verizon, and we have one of the best towers. And even if I'm that high up, I ain't making no phone calls. So and they had that in there, and I'm like, okay, because as soon as we're about like 300-400 feet in the air, I ain't got no service whatsoever.
You're right, and that's a great
satellite
cover-up.
phones.
You're right. That's a great cover-up to get people to
but
think
you have
that
Wi-Fi
they
calls,
crashed
bro.
it.
The airplane has
versus,
Wi-Fi.
No,
We
those
had
planes.
Wi-Fi
sucks.
strong back in the day.
That Wi-Fi sucks. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, there wasn't even Wi-Fi in 2001.
I know there wasn't.
Listen,
In flights there wasn't. I know.
Gordo, tell me this ain't true. You talk about Wi-Fi right now. I know your ass, when your TV was glitching, you was banging the side of that shit just so it could go back to the regular picture. And you talking about Wi-Fi right now.
You talking about
Wi-Fi? Yeah.
No, Lewis.
I know you had a
Lewis, you
TV.
didn't have color
I
when
had
you
to hold
watched
the
TV.
antenna, bro. We had rabbit
Yeah,
Lewis,
yeah,
you didn't have color.
coat hangers. Yeah, we used to have coat hangers,
hangers,
the iron
aluminum
antennas. We put them on back of the TV and try to fix
And
it.
that's all right. You know what? My parents made me the remote control. Get up and change the fucking channel. Go change the channel again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it
Yeah,
was.
turn the
bro.
knob. Turn the knob.
Yep.
Lewis-
Yeah, Gordo knows. Turn the knob.
Lewis
Yeah.
was playing football with that real pigskin, and Brian was playing baseball with no gloves back in the day. Just
Oh,
bare
no,
hands.
dude, you don't even know. No, not even shitting you. My dad bought me gloves that were the original, like, 1940 Yankee gloves. Dude, he used to throw a baseball at me. It bruised my hand. It was literally barely any leather. It was like, the mitt was like this. There was no pocket. Man, that shit was freaking weird. He used to go out to my practices, and that's the glove he used, because that's how old he was. He was used to it. I was like, man, you crazy.
Damn.
Lewis,
Well-
you know about that. That's how we used to play with.
I used to. We didn't have equipment back in the days, bro. When I played.
Probably Lewis pitched
Yeah.
a plan for it.
Hey, Lewis
used to-
played
yeah.
football with the leather helmet, no face mask.
Yeah. He
That's what
he
we
used to
call it,
ride
Leatherface, bro. Leatherhead.
He used to, he rode a bike for electricity.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, and we ended here because we're actually
getting roasted?
40 seconds.
You getting roasted?
No.
He's tired of getting roasted. He's like, I'm done. Okay.
Yo, we're at 47. We're at 47 right now. I think it was a good conversation. Again, ladies
Okay,
and gentlemen,
so
just
before
leave
we
a
leave
comment. Before you leave, leave a comment. Join in. Tell us what your perspective or what you've done, right, or what you've heard about conspiracy. Write it down. Leave it in the comments. Address it to one of us. Shit like that. But go ahead,
Yes.
Goldo.
We'll
And
respond. We're
leave you with
active.
A question for you viewers. A question for you viewers. We're not gonna answer this in the video, but for you viewers, for next week's beginning of the video, we're gonna answer this question. Do you believe in aliens? Yes or no? Are we alone in this universe?
good question.
Yes or no? Comment in the comment below.
Like
Let
to
us
see
know
that.
what is your options.
Yes.
We want to see what you guys think. We're gonna answer
I love
those
that.
next week.
That's awesome. I love that.
All right.
That's great.
All right.
All right, Generation Shock, and we out.
Check us out on
See ya.
Instagram as well. Generation Shock 2020. And we're posting stuff on there as well. So
Yeah, post some
Peace.
dailies. See you guys.
Ladies.
Have a good day.